What are the insider secrets to make home buyers fall in love with your property? Top performing agents will all agree that these steps will help you sell your house for more money and get a faster closing rate, making sure that your house is prepared properly for the large amount of buyers that are out there in the market today, making sure that they see your house and fall in love with it. Let's dive in. Keep in mind, yes, you're selling a house, and yes, probably the person that's going to buy the house has a similar taste in terms of the layout of the house that they're going to buy, but they may not have the same taste, the same thought processes as you, the seller. So these tips will help you ultimately get a wider audience with more people to come see your house. And second of all, you're going to have a higher return in terms of getting people to move forward and make a decision to purchase your house with some very simple tips that aren't too costly, but they require a little bit of work from you, the seller. So tip number one is declutter. And we're gonna look at several things here, not necessarily that your house is cluttered, but we're gonna wanna go over and above on the declutter than we normally would, even in going to visit a friend's house, just because we have people with different tastes that walk into your home. So for example, you might take your toaster and find a home for it in a cabinet. You might take your little cookie mixer and take it and put it in the pantry. Making clean counter spaces that are open and available to all. Other things that we want to look at too is amount of chairs or amount of couches that we have in the living room. Try to reduce everything to be very minimum and have as much open space as possible. The larger you can make your room feel, the more open, the more spacious, that will ultimately yield in a very different experience for prospective buyers as they walk through, because they're gonna have different furniture, they're gonna have different appliances and things in there. So to show your house in the best light, try to live in a, well, let's just face it, slightly impractical way while you get that house shown. So keeping these in check, and every time you walk out the door having a little checklist will help you stay on top of this to make sure that everything is decluttered from the buyer's perspective. You might also want to consider renting a storage facility while you have the property listed, just to be able to put a few extra trinkets and things, toys or whatever it may be, all in a storage facility and present that house in the best light possible. When it comes to decluttering, less is more if you're trying to sell your home. Tip number two is neutralize and depersonalize. Ideally, a buyer should walk into your home and think, wow, the most boring person in the world lives in this house. That's what we're going for. Think walking into a hotel room, seeing an empty nightstand except for an alarm clock. We're gonna get rid of the alarm clock too, because let's just face it, nobody uses alarm clocks anymore. It's all on your smartphone anyways. So when we're going for neutral and depersonalized, we want to look at things like photos, take books down, box them up, make empty, clean shelves, take family photos down, any kind of artwork down. We want to go for very boring, clean, vanilla type look to your home, right? Ideally, that person needs to be able to picture their things in their place, and having a more clear decor in your home will help them picture them doing that. Other things to look out for too is pets. If you have pets, there's a number of little smells that maybe you don't smell because you're there every day. It becomes part of the ordinary routine life, but other people walking in may smell a slight smell, of course, easily fixable, but if it's not addressed ahead of time, it can create an impact on them. So using things like Febreze before you go out to help reduce smells is a great tip. And there's other machines too that you can use, like ozone machines, if smell is something in one of the rooms that needs a little bit of extra love. So talk to your realtor. We'll help you, give you a few tips on helping with pet smells in your home. Ask a neighbor what they think your home smells like. That'll be a great way to get an opinion from an external source. Tip number three is paint. When we look at paint, we want to have a house, of course, all the high trafficked areas retouched up at least, have the holes in the walls filled up from where the pictures were hung, and have that painted where hands and so on and so forth have touched. That's the easy way to get things done. Sometimes you'll need to do a little bit extra and maybe repaint the entire house. When we're repainting the entire house, try to look for colors that new construction are using at the moment. That'll typically give you a taste of what the bulk people out there are looking for, and it will make it very easy for them to do. If you have any bright or really dark walls, we may want to reconsider repainting those walls to a more standard color, having one color throughout the entire house, keeping everything uniform. Tip number four is have a good deep clean. We want to look at things like having a professional clean done to the property, but also looking at floors, for example, in high trafficked areas, you'll often see the grout colors maybe darker in the center where it's highly trafficked versus on the edge. So let's have everything cleaned, have everything looking uniform, and then also getting into other places that we don't frequently clean. For example, the garage and garage floors, having all that nicely cleaned up and ready and freshened up. Tip number 5 is landscaping. We want to make sure that any trees that are hanging over the house are professionally cut back so that they're not a concern for the future buyer and falling and impacting the roof. We want to make sure that any kind of shrubs that are along the house are not touching the house, because that will come up in an inspection report. They'll say, oh, it could be bad for termites, etc. So let's go ahead and beat the inspector, get ahead of that game, have a good gap between your landscaping and your house. And that leads me then to the mulch bed in the front area there too. Have a good fresh bed of mulch, play it in place, have everything nicely weeded, keep that nice and ready there, trim up those hedges, make them nice and uniform looking in the front, and getting that first impression when they walk up to the house to be a wow. If it's not a wow, then it could leave not so great feeling. The first impression really makes a difference. When that family pulls up to their potential home, they want it to say wow. Adding a little bit of color can actually go a long ways there too. You can either plant flowers in the front, or you can buy a few vases and put some nice colorful vases in the front. It adds a little extra pop, a little bit of extra color as they pull up to your home. That sums up the 5 steps. There are a number of interior and exterior tips as well in our listing packet. If you'd like a copy of our listing packet, we'll be happy to send you an email of that listing packet or drop one off at your front door and get you reading on the way there. If you want to go above and beyond with the listing of your home and give buyers a potential wow factor with how you've maintained and taken care of that home, you could look at things like getting an inspection done before you even list it. Having that checklist of items, showing that you went through and fixed several of those items. We can attach that in our listing, and it gives the buying agent ultimately, oh, okay, yeah, these guys know what they're doing, they know what their house is worth, it's in great condition, and I feel happy putting my clients in that house, right? Another thing you can look at doing is staging your home. Talk to your realtor and see if it makes sense in your area and what other homes are doing in your area. That might be another thing that gives people a wow impression when they go to look at your home. So which of these do you need to focus on now? Any thoughts? Comment below, let us know. Otherwise, we will see you at the closing table.